Hey, good people. Hello, hello. It is just I, Kenya, on our YouTube live tonight for Black Her Story. Although I am bringing up a special guest, but Keisean is not with me tonight because Keisean has a life. And she actually was gifted some Erica Badu tickets, and so she's going to have fun, and we should be a little jealous or whatever. No, we should be saying, yay, go Keisean and enjoy Erica. So she won't be joining tonight, but I do have a special guest, and I'm super excited to bring her to the stage. I'm going to bring her on in just a moment. Just as you guys, I've been talking about this each week, that we have a virtual summit that is happening next Saturday, the June 24th, where we are bringing in three women's health practitioners who take a holistic way of managing our reproductive health, and it's called the Healthy Vagina Monologue. So I've been talking about it all month, and I've been bringing different guests. That the last week, not last week, 2 weeks ago, we had Dr. Donna G, and she talked about menopause and perimenopause. And tonight, what we're going to be talking about, and this is really, listen, this is going to blow your mind. Well, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. And so I titled this, What Do Kegels, Pelvic Pain, and Constipation Have in Common? Now, I know that that seems crazy, right? Kegels, constipation, isn't that my butt versus not my butt? Like but it's very connected. And so our guest today is a physical therapist who specializes in pelvic health and pelvic floor dysfunction, women's health, reproductive health. And I just think that there's a lot of information we don't know. And so she's not going to give away all the goods, because the whole point is that you will actually come to the summit so that you can hear more about what to do if you're having some of these symptoms. Okay. So I'm going to bring her up. Her name is Dr. Brie Coleman. So ta-da! You're here. You're here. I'm so excited to see you, even though I see you all the time.
Well, not anymore.
And because you fixed me.
The heart is breaking.
But you
it's the worst part about that is I have to break up with people.
You do. But you did such amazing work with me. And I do want to share a little of my testimony in a moment. But before I kind of share how we connected, I would love for you to share, like, what is it that you do and what in the world got you, in this space of doing this work. But I think definitely explaining, because I still don't think people really understand when they hear pelvic floor, what that even really means. So go for it. Love to hear.
So the pelvic floor is a muscle complex. It is
yes, we're almost done with potatoes.
Oh gosh, that noise. Sorry. That I'm trying to share on one device and then it came on another.
Anyway. Girl, I thought it was my kids. I said, "Oh Lord."
No, that would be my
I thought I put them to bed.
Okay, I thought they were pelvic floor. She got 3 kids, guys. So yeah. Anyway, yes. So
pelvic floor is a muscle complex that is actually located at the base of the pelvis, and it helps us. It is the forgotten core muscle, essentially. And so, although it's a complex, it's about 14 different muscles that come together to create the work. It's forgotten about all the time by every single professional out there, except for us.
Yes.
And so I know that it's been a very hot topic lately. And I think that we've been hearing about it a lot more. And so other industries and fitness professionals and yoga professionals and even doctors are starting to trickle in a little pelvic floor knowledge, which is cool, because at least it's bringing up awareness that these muscles exist, which is part of the problem, is that we don't know that they exist. We don't know what they do. We don't know where they are. We have no idea how to tap into them. And so, as actually you said it right, I am a pelvic health physical therapist.
Oh, okay.
Yay! Look at your girl, yes. But because I do work on all pelvises, and so anyone with a pelvis, I can help. However, I have specialized even further into women's health and actually affecting change in our vulva owners. And so I try to have more of a passion in that direction, although I can help everyone with a pelvis. And so, as a pelvic health specialist, I do try to educate and to help people understand where these muscles are, how to tap into them, and what they do, and how important they are. And so, and I think that we realize how important they are when things start going wrong.
Well, yeah. But the thing is I don't think people even have a clue that when things go wrong, that's what the thing is that's going wrong.
Exactly. And so we start blaming other things, right? We have the back pain, and so we go see an ortho. We have the hip pain, so we go see someone else. So we have the knee pain, and we go see someone else. We have headaches, go see someone else. We have TMJ, go see someone else. And all the while, we have no idea that our pelvic floor is down here dying on us. And now we're leaking all over the place. Now we have constipation. Now we have pelvic pain. Now we have pain with sex. Now we have a whole just myriad of things just cascading down the chain of
Yes.
dysfunction. And so, yeah, so we try to tap back into those so that we can say, when you are in your fitness class and you're working on your core muscles, that does not stop at your abdominals.
Right.
And it
Right.
doesn't just stop at one or two of your abdominals. We actually have 4 different layers in our abdominals that all need attention, and they all need to be tapped into. And even
Yeah.
that can be part of the problem.
Well, yes and yes. And I cannot, I'm going to give my little testimony so people can really digest this from a more human, practical way, because I know for a fact that many women are just struggling. They're just on the struggle bus, thinking that this is just a normal part of aging, or a normal part of I just had a baby, or a normal part of, oh, I'm in, perimenopause, or I'm just getting older, so I pee on myself now. I just gonna start getting poise, pads. I mean, and so the way that Dr. Brie and I met. So I have always struggled with constipation to a certain degree, like for a very long time. Um, and obvious, and not constipation on a severe. I don't want people to just think I'm just sitting up constipated. That wasn't true. But definitely after I had kids, hemorrhoids and those types of things, because pushing babies out, all the things, right? And I did know, but I knew kind of what to do to kind of rectify and what to eat. And I always just thought it was about our gut. And that's what we're taught, Dr. Bry, is oh, you need to eat more fiber, or you need to drink more water. And it's not to say that that may not be the case, but I had again, in my head, I'm thinking I'm having gut issues, which is what's causing my constipation. So in November, December of last year, I had the worst bout of constipation, or what I'm thinking my gut constipation that I had ever had. I usually poop every day, just to tell all my business. I usually poop on a daily. But I went almost 3 days without pooping, and I felt the poop. I said, I know this poop is right here, and damn it, the poop won't come out. And so I literally, it caused, when you were talking about the hip, my knees, my legs, I was having pain all over. And I'm now thinking it's because I'm toxic. I'm septic. The poop is made septic in my joints. I'm just like, it's taking over. And it took an IG reel from a pelvic health physical therapist that was not you, but I saw it, and she started talking about if you think constipation is your gut, it may be your pelvic floor. And I'm like, say what, say what, say what, say what. And so long story short, I was in desperate pain to the point I wasn't pooping consistently. I was having hemorrhoids. It got to the point I couldn't really walk. Like I was in tears of frustration, pain, sadness, because I'm a health coach. Like I just couldn't believe this was happening to me. And after I saw that reel, I went on her website because she had a directory of other pelvic floor physical therapists across the country that were of color, which really I was like, oh, of color too. And your beautiful face popped up in Illinois. And on top of it, your office, your address was down the street. I was like, oh my God. And so I literally, I think I went to your site, I filled out whatever form that you had, and you contacted me immediately, and we did a virtual consultation. And you were just how she's looking like this, you guys, just how she's calm like this. She's smiling and calm. And I'm like, girl, I can't. And she's just like, yeah, that's your pelvic floor. I'm just like, and you're like, oh, I can see you like in 2 days. And just and I went in your beautiful studio, and literally in one treatment, you guys, and I'm not lying, one treatment, which I'm going to let you explain what that is. I pooped every day since. That was February. It literally, you taught me so much, but just what you taught me and then what you did and how you manipulated the pelvic floor and taught me how to start connecting with it. It instantly provided relief. Instant. Now I still had to work because the pain, it was lingering, and we went through a whole, treatment program, but I pooped that day and every day ever since. After not pooping and after struggling through constipation for years now. So thank you.
I love this testimony. I just love it.
Yes.
Love it.
So tell people what was happening to me from when you heard me and was like, oh yeah, because I know other women are going through this. How did you oh yeah, this is this. What's happening when that's happening?
So that's a great question because this is actually really variable. However, there is a common thread when it comes to constipation, when it comes to when you have more than one pelvic symptom, there's a common thread in there. And that was the piece that, that you kind of missed in your testimony is that there's a lot of life going on and there's a lot of stress going on. And that can become so overwhelming to your body that it stops doing the things that it usually does, such as pooping. So to poop, we actually need to be able to tap into a part of our neurological system that allows us to relax and to allow us to release. And if we are in such a high level of stress or threat, basically, we can't actually relax enough to what I call open the door. And so that's what we first learn is how to open the door. We got to first realize what is going on in our life. What is
I'm gonna tell my business. So get to the psychological because this is imperative. I didn't know how stressed I was until you started talking about this, and it really hit. I started connecting the dots of my stress. But yeah,
Yes.
keep going.
Because like you, Kenya, I think a lot of women are very similar in the I'm okay, especially Black women. We okay. I got it. It's fine. Can you come over here and do? Yes, I can. Can you come over here and do this? Yeah. Can I see you on Sunday? Mm-hmm. And so we start just allowing some of our ambitions, some of our goals, some of other people's ambitions and goals to start affecting our life. And so we have to get first an awareness of where we are. Like, what is happening right now, today? Where are we? And then we can start to change where we want to go. But if we're not even present in the where we are right now, then we have no idea the actual goals and how to achieve those goals if we don't know where we are. We got to stay here first. Because we spent a lot of time in the past and living there. We spend a lot of time worrying about the future, but we don't spend a lot of time comfortable in the present. And so being comfortable here is a skill set that I think is part of a program with me that we really work on is being present what is it that we can start to reframe? And so we work a lot on our wins and our challenges, and what is it that went really well for us this week, and what did we have a challenge with versus like what's good, what's bad. It's all about where are we? Like, what was I really proud of myself for? And what do I need a little bit more help with versus, oh my gosh, I'm just so terrible. I just eat my diet is awful. I don't sleep. I don't poop. My body is this. I'm too old. Like, no, those are all societal influences on what tells us that we're just not good enough. And we are good enough. We are good where we are. We just have to get comfortable with where we are. And that's part of the whole pelvic floor and how we change it and how we change our whole perspective on where we are.
Thank you for really explaining that, because there's a huge mental health, and no, I failed to say this. There's a massive mental health, mind, body, soul connection in this. And this is the irony, because this is what I'm all about, telling other people to connect the mind, body, soul. And I literally wasn't connecting because for me, I wasn't spending time to understand, to your point, what stress, positive, because there's positive stress, these things that, oh, I've got these great things happening in my life, but I'm still managing 307 things. And for me, because I am my affect, who I am, the kind of work I do is a much, I have to be calm. I'm, managing conflict all day in terms of the kind of work that I do, and didn't realize how much of the stress and anxiety that I was having, I was suppressing it, and it totally went visceral, meaning it totally went into body, because I totally wasn't allowing it to get in the mind, because that would interfere with literally the work I do as a care taker, as a practitioner. And so I didn't connect it.
Exactly. So that's what we spend a lot of time doing. And that's why you can get better in one treatment, right? But at the same time, if you want that long lasting result, it takes more than one treatment. That is a lot to unpack, and it's a lot to kind of come into your own realization, because it doesn't really help for somebody to just sit there and be like, well, girl, you stressed and you need to just relax. Like, what?
Right.
Yep,
Right.
got that part. That's why I'm here.
Right.
So we have to really dive a little bit deeper. And a lot of our treatment was actually just talking. And so where we were just there, we were just having this dialogue of, where are we? Like, what happened? What's going on with Kenya? And so, and kind of unpacking that part where we can actually just unload, and then have somebody there to be like, this is why. Can we see where and how these are connected? I like to call myself an interpreter, because our body is, it's amazing. It's fascinating how intuitive our body is, except we just have no real connection to a lot of the things that it's trying to tell us. And so we feel pain and we're like, oh, something's wrong. Like, oh, nope, something's wrong. I gotta go to a specialist. I gotta, I must have cancer. I gotta get with the surgery. Like, where's the magic pill? Like, what's happening? And no, actually, pain, constipation, dysfunction, all these things are just communication tools that our body uses, because it doesn't speak English to us. It speaks body. And so we just have to be better at understanding what it's trying to tell us. And so you tell me what you're experiencing, and then we can kind of work through, what is your body really trying to tell us? What does it need? Where do we need to go? Okay. Absolutely. And so I'm more the navigator in the pair of the relationship. I'm riding shotgun and you're the driver. Okay. And so I'm the one that's like, well, if we take a right, we could end up here. But if we take this left, we could end up here. And so then you get to choose which way you want to go, because I truly believe in autonomy in our care, and that we can self-direct where we need to go if we have the information and the tools necessary to actually make an informed decision.
Yeah. All right. So If you are watching in live time and you have a question, this is a good time to do that. Put it in the chat because we want to be able to pick her brain. And while we wait, if people come in and out, and I'll keep periodically reminding people to, ask a question. But tell us more about Kegels, your opinion, because I titled this, "What do Kegels, pelvic pain, and constipation have in common?"
This is such a good question, right? Yeah. It's such a good question because for so long, the only information that we had about the pelvic floor was it could be solved with Kegels. And I hate Kegels.
I know you do, which is why I wanted to.
No Kegels. No Kegels. One, because I don't believe in our anatomy and our physiology being named after a man. That's just ridiculous. So
and people don't even know that it was. They don't even know that Kegel is named after a man.
Who? No. So these are pelvic floor contractions. Okay. So just like our bicep contracts, just like our shoulders and muscles can contract, just like we can squeeze our hands, we can contract our pelvic floor. And we need to actually be able to relax our pelvic floor and stretch our pelvic floor. We actually need to go the opposite way. And so, just like any other skeletal muscle in the body, it needs to have length before it can have strength. Okay. And so, if you were just sitting there kegling all day long, and if you're watching, you can actually just do this and squeeze your hands as tight as you can, and then squeeze them so hard that you actually don't open your hand anymore, and you're just squeezing, and do that about 300 times because that was the recommendation of how many times to end leakage. And then after you've squeezed your hand 300 times without opening it, without even moving it, like look at that. That's like zero range of motion, right? And then try to stop and open your hand and you're like, ugh. Oh God, my hands. And the first thing you want to do is go the opposite way. The first thing you want to do is be like, oh Lord, what did I just do? So that is the counterintuitiveness of sitting there kegling like your pelvic floor. It doesn't make sense. We don't do that with any other muscle. We don't just sit there blinking really hard because we want to get good at like blinking, right? No, we don't do that. We actually blink like because we have a really strong connection with our eyes. And so we're just used to doing that. It's so used to it that it becomes second nature to us. Like these are the things that we actually need to learn as babies. We learned how to use our hands and have dexterity in our hands that we can now write and be accurate with writing. Same thing with our pelvic floor is that we actually need to have coordination. We need to have strength. We need to have coordination, range of motion, strength, and flexibility. And so if those things are not there, you're going to have some form of dysfunction. Is it leakage? Is it constipation? Is it loose stools? Is it, pain with sex? It could not be. And you could still be having dysfunction at your pelvic floor because for me, my philosophy is that usually it's not the fault of the pelvic floor.
Yeah.
It's usually not, it's not our fault.
Yeah.
It's usually actually some other players that are team players that are actually not doing their job well enough. And that is what actually overloads our pelvic floor. Then we get the bright idea that since our high pelvic floor is leaking, that we need to then kegel it right at the top where it has no range of motion. That is how we get constipation. That is how we have pelvic pain. That is what leads to leakage. All these things is when there's nothing wrong with a volitional or under our control contraction of our pelvic floor. The problem comes in is when we're over squeezing. For what reason? We need to also have the ability to release and to stretch.
Right. Well, can you talk, because I think that women are being told that we need to kegel to keep our vaginas tight so that during sex and, we want to have a tight vagina. And so by kegeling, and I think the combination of not peeing on yourself, oh, you need to kegel, but also, oh, I don't want to, you want to have a tight vagina. this is a myth. So can you share more about this whole, what is that, good, bad? Should we be trying to have
No,
tightness there?
right. So if no other place in our body is tightness what we want, except for these over sexualized places that we place this like completely unrealistic expectation on our bodies, such as our abdominals and our pelvic floor. Like, why are we doing this? Like, why do we expect that we should be walking around with this tiny little tight waist and these like huge loose hips? Like, for what reason? Makes no sense as to why we have this idea that tightness equals function. I don't even know. Maybe it's not even that we want functionality at that point, right? Because the functionality part is not associated with tightness, it's associated with our control. We want control. We want the ability to be able to close our hands and open them back up. We want the ability to be able to tighten our pelvic floor or to contract it and to release it back out. We want that ability to be able to say that if I want to have a pleasurable sexual experience, that I can contract my pelvic floor in a rhythmic way that actually creates that climax. It's like, but sexuality and pleasure and that libido is actually stimulated by relaxation. It's stimulated by nervous system, the same nervous system that allows us to rest and digest, not the one that's fight or flight. Okay. You cannot have an orgasm and run from a bear at the same time. We have to be able to be in a relaxed position somewhere that we feel safe, that we feel connected. And that is when we have this pleasurable experience of our pelvic floor and that connection into, because now our nervous system is allowing that fluidity to happen. Okay. If we are stressed, which every every new mom out there should know, and remember that time where you were like super stressed, at no point in time were you like, let's do it. Like, no, I want to sleep, I want to eat, I want to have silence, I want to not be touched. That's what I want right now. Not the opposite. But when you're on vacation, you're kid free, you have those sea air in your face, like that's when you're like, let's go, let's do this, right? Because that is when you can tap into those that neurological, the physiological aspect of pleasure.
Oh, you said
No, I don't know why.
some
I don't know why.
Said some good stuff. If anybody in the audience has a question, please put it in the comment for us. Although I think if you ask a question on Facebook, I may not see it. I'm not sure because I'm using StreamYard. Sometimes I feel like I miss certain questions, but try. And if it pops up on my thing, then I will bring it up so that Dr. Brie can address it. So there's two spaces, two more conditions that you kind of alluded to that I want to talk about. It is definitely thought that, I've had my babies. So I will say, I'm 50 and a lot of the women that follow me and in this space are over 40 and probably are not trying to have new children, or if they did, most people are like, okay, I'm a little past, I might be in my more perimenopausal or menopausal stage of life. And I think people are thinking, and so now my bladder is the size of a pea. So this is definitely, I think, a common huge misunderstanding of how the bladder works, and thinking that as we age, that's, we see the Depends, we see the Poise, and it's just, yep, my mama, and again, my mama uses them, my grandmother, my auntie, we all got this peeing situation where we got to go when we got to go. I know in my family, me and my sister and my niece and my mom were like, yep, that's just a gene, we just got to pee fast. Okay, can you please dispel and explain a little more of what's happening with that urgency or that leaking that's going on?
And so that is actually a really deep question that I am hoping that everybody comes to the summit to understand.
Yes.
Because let me tell you, it is really in depth. It really is. But in fact, you asked like,
just give us just a little. Okay, because yes, you're right. I don't want to give it away because you got to come to the summit to really understand this because she's gonna break it all down. But can you just dispel that myth? Because I don't want women thinking, yes, that's the truth.
Okay,
I don't know
so
if there's
it's
a basic way.
partial truth. It's a
Okay.
partial truth, okay? And so one reason that we think that leakage is associated with aging is because if we allow dysfunction to continue, it's not going to get better. And so if you're living with leakage now, if you're living with urgency and frequency and leakage now, it's not going to get better unless you intervene, unless you get help. And so, yes, then you will be that person. However, it's never too late. It's never too late to actually get help. It's never too late to actually correct this behavior in terms of your pelvic floor function. Now, as we age, we do have organs that start to break down, right? We have our kidneys that start to actually not filter as well as they could, and which, excuse me, then creates a very acidic thing that goes on in the bladder, which is part of what I'll talk about at the summit. But if we can actually address the dysfunction when it first happens, then we have you can have full control forever. You literally can have the tools that you can then go in your toolbox and pull them out every time that you see that little sniff of a symptom, and you can snuff it out then. You do not, especially if you're 40s, if you're in your 50s, if you're in your 60s, please, you are still way too cute to be walking around smelling like a diaper. Like that is, it's just something that I just can't comprehend. And it's something that I literally slap out of the hands of people that come into my office. Like, do not tell me, okay, tell me, but do not tell me that you are walking around in a diaper. Like, stop
Yes.
it. Like,
well, girl, the advertisers are convincing.
right. No, they make it look real cute. Like, this is just part of being a mom, and this is just part of aging, and this is just and but the aging, everyone should be really offended by this because they are literally talking to moms that have like 7-year-olds and like 3-year-olds. Like, what age woman are you talking to? While Susie's in the drop-off line, her bladder makes a little drop-off. Like, who are you talking to? Because I'm still in the drop off line and I'm still young. So I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who you're talking to. It's not me. I don't get it. Like, they are talking to us 30s, us 40s. They're talking to us. They're not talking to 60, 70, 80-year-olds. Those are not the people who are still jumping on the trampoline with toys on. Okay.
Right.
No, they're talking to us. They're talking to you. Like, why? You ain't talking to me. Stop. Like that, it makes no sense to me. But
Yeah.
all of that leakage is that tight pelvic floor. And
Yes.
so, and that's what I'd like to talk about at the summit. The reason why we think that bladder is small. Well, I just have a small bladder. I've always had to go to the bathroom every 15 minutes.
You heard
No. Now.
She's speaking my language. This is why you guys need to come to the summit, because she's going, if you hear yourself in this, if this resonates for you, if you are like, okay, so what am I supposed to do? Come to the summit, because that's where she's going to go more in depth, and that's where she's going to be able to share with you, at least, we're not doing treatments because again, this is because of just health, regulation, so forth. But she is going to be talking about the condition and the types of treatments and the things to consider if you are going through this. And I just know that so many women are going through this, and they're going through it in isolation and in privacy. They're not going telling their girlfriends. I wasn't telling my girlfriends I couldn't poop. It wasn't happening. I mean, I might tell a good girlfriend, but definitely, we want you to, and I'm going to share in just a moment how you can come to Summit. The other thing is, if you would like to talk to Dr. Brie, or you may want some type of consultation or so forth, then we want you to come to the summit so you can get more of her information and how you can go about. And you maybe explain this because you are technically licensed in Illinois, but what does that mean for people who are not in Illinois? Do you, I mean, any hope for them?
Absolutely. First of all, you already mentioned it, right? Dr. Janelle Howell has put together a pelvic it's actually global now because we are actually getting pelvic PTs from other countries to join this melanated pelvic floor physical therapy group. The directory is amazing. And so if you are having trouble finding a pelvic floor PT, definitely check that directory first to see if there's someone in your area that may resonate with you. There's also another national directory with Herman and Wallace, or even just Googling. There's like a pelvic, just a general like pelvic directory, and that can give you a lot of insight as to where they are in your area. But also, some of us are mobile. And so I actually have a mobile aspect to my practice where you can have a pelvic PT come to you. And so that is also sometimes available in your service area. That's where a lot of our rural folks get their help, is with mobile. And so it's a really cool aspect too, which we didn't really have a lot of in pelvic specifically. And now we are, but also virtual. Virtual is amazing. Like I said, a lot of our visits were just coaching and talking. And that is a huge, huge, huge part of it because of that psychological, because of the fact that a lot of it's behavioral, which we'll talk about a lot at the summit, because those are those tools that you can immediately start right now and see results from. Is it difficult? Yes. Is it amazing when you actually have that autonomy and you have that empowerment to be able to change these conditions without having anyone touch you? Like, that is amazing. It's a great. And so there's a billion different ways that you can get help. But yeah, it's totally.
Yeah. I mean, what you just said, as far as, you know, I could feel in my soul that what was going on was something that I knew going to a doctor, going to the traditional, and no disrespect to traditional MDs, because we're going to have an MD as a part of our virtual summit who is trained, you know, at a medical college in the traditional space. She also, though, does have a certification in holistic intervention as well. That's Dr. Donna G. But I could feel I knew it's like they're either going to try to tell me surgically or, you know, give me some kind of other laxative or whatever. And I knew, no, but I do have a background, you know, I was a physical therapist. I wasn't pelvic floor, so I didn't get heavy in this, but I knew my body, something more was going on. And I knew I hadn't connected it to stress yet, but I knew it was connected to something going on deeper than the obvious. And so at the summit, I'm glad that you're saying we're going to talk more about this emotional health and how that literally impacts our reproductive health and really our health in general. And that mind body is really, really real. And so we want you. So I put up here onedaysummit.eventbrite.com. If you go to that website, you can register. If you'd like, we were having some discount codes. If you want to get a discount code and you want, because this is how generous, we want to make this accessible. I was making them public, but now I've pulled down the more public, but you can still get a discount code and you just have to email. So I'm going to put that down. Let me see if I can put this up. If you email that info@findingyourvoiceafter40.com, we will email you a code where you can get up to 50% off on the registration. But that's the way this is just a way that we're making sure we're giving the code to people who are genuinely really wanting to come, want to be there, and want to learn. And the summit itself, it's a day-long summit, virtual. It's virtual. If you're not able to stay, it starts at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're not able to stay for the full day, it ends at 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't stay for the full day, there will be a recording. But the recording will only be available for a limited time for those who actually register. So we're not just going to have the recording up. You know, if you come though, or if you've registered, we want to make sure that you still get this information. So I've heard of a lot of people, oh, I have something I got to do that day. That's fine. Still sign up. This is why we want you to get the code so you can get a discount. Still sign up so that you can go back and you can watch it at your convenience, and you can rewind, you can pause, you can take notes, you can do so forth, because each presenter is going to do a more formal presentation to give you this information. So I'm excited. I just know how big of a difference it's made in my life, and beyond, again, me just pooping again. I also have the frequent, I am the girl, let me pee just one more time before we go. Let me go pee just 2 more times. Let me, the just in case pee, we talked about that. And that's another thing that Dr. Brie and I really worked on and began, and I'm still in process with, and that's what she'll talk about during the summit, what that process is, so that in fact you can really literally take power over your own body. That's what I love so much about everything we talked about were things that you taught me to do on my own. Right. It wasn't something that you came in and, well, you can only do this when you come see me. Right. Every single week you were like, do this on your own. And when we would come back, you would, ask me, so how did that go? And if I said, okay, this didn't go really well, you were really good at helping and guiding. And those are the things that we'll talk about.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's it. Right on the head. I just love that.
You are awesome. You are so awesome. Really, seriously, you guys need to go follow Dr. Brie. Let me move this out. You need to follow. So what is your Instagram? I don't have a ticker. It's at the mobile mommy PT.
That's it. Yeah.
She has the best reels, you guys. Oh my gosh. She's dancing. She's got, all these really funny, like, I don't even know what you want to call it, but when, you have the voiceover, or when you're saying the different funny things that you do on the reels, to really help you have fun with this process of learning more about your body.
Yes. And that's actually a really good point, is that this should not be something that you can't talk to someone about. Like, you should be able to speak up loud and proud about your poop, about your pee, about your sexual, like everything. And so, yes, we do try to have some fun with it, because it is a very intimate place to be, especially like you said, like, you're coming in super vulnerable. Like, when you came in to me, you was like, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. It's a bad day. That was my first time meeting Kenya. Oh, it's a bad day.
I was like, that level of pain, girl, because you guys, it wasn't just like, oh, I can't poop pain. My hips, my joints, my thighs, like, I couldn't sit comfortably. I couldn't stand comfortably. The thought of, I got to poop, just knowing that nothing was going to come out. So then my anxiety got higher. So that was actually locking me up even more. So everything you taught me of how, when that starts to happen, what to do. And that's what we'll talk more about the summit. What are those things you can do if you're experiencing this? Because there's some specific things, and it changed my life. It really did.
Yeah. And so part of that is just getting you to say, it's okay. Like, bring it back down. Let's have some fun with it. And then it helps to shake off those nerves. It helps to shake off the anxiety, and it helps you get back to you again. Like, just being able to have a space that you can be you in is so vital for us Black women, for just our society in general. And so I try to create that space. Once that door closes, it's your room.
One of the things we'll say this that we didn't say, and we're going to be wrapping up soon. So please, if you have a question, please go ahead. And hopefully I can see the comments. If you've said, I put a question, y'all had to ask, that just means it didn't pop up somehow on my thing. But try to, usually I can see if it's on YouTube, I should be able to see the question. If it's on Facebook, I think on my page, I should be able to see it. But, and I'll check my page in a moment. But one thing we didn't talk about, and we'll talk about this more at the summit, is, there are you're doing internal examinations so that you can literally feel the pelvic floor, so you can feel what's happening. So I was in so much pain. I was opening my legs. I'm like, girl, I don't care. You need to go find what is it? What is it? But not everybody obviously, can feel like that. And so I know that during the summit, you'll talk more about that as well. What an internal exam is not, but how it does benefit. And that was huge, huge. So, well, this has been awesome. Is there anything before, that you want to talk about in terms or share that you're not going to share in detail, but what people can look forward to if they come to the summit that maybe we haven't expressed that you also plan to share with those who attend?
I have a plan to really try to dive deep into those subjects that we've already talked about, but also to have folks walk away with an understanding as to how like everything is connected. And so although I'm a pelvic physical therapist, I'm a physical therapist. And so everything that you could be wanting help with can be addressed by first looking at the pelvic floor and to actually start with your core we're going to learn what your core is.
Because people are like, is my core? Do we think core or stomach?
Yes, we're going to learn what this core, what the elusive core is. And then we're going to learn how we can actually, by optimizing our core, we can solve everything. We can figure everything else out. I was mentioning to Kenya before we started that I'm training for a half marathon and how I'm literally on a heating pad right now because of this connection. So as I'm running, I'm like, ooh, child, this knee pain is intense. And I'm like, why am I having knee pain? This is always my thought. Why? Okay, why am I having knee pain? Is it because I need to stretch? I need to do this. No, it's because I need to strengthen my hips. And so that's going to be my mission for the next probably week or two, is to really focus on my hip strength and to get that on point. And once that's on point, I assume and I am expecting my knees to get back in line because I ain't got time. And so that is where we're going with that. And so that's what I'm hoping that people learn from, is that if you have this going on, it may not be the problem. Okay,
Yeah.
So my knees are the ones talking to me. I'm actually heating my back, strengthening my hips. And then I'm hoping that that all has this trickle down effect to my knees, because the knees are the ones that's talking, but it doesn't necessarily mean the knees are the problem.
Yeah. And I can't wait for the summit for you to talk about how we think it's one thing, but it's actually just kind of the domino effect. It's just showing up in that space. But what you guys do is really, as physical therapists, you're really tracing it to the belly, to the root. And I will say, this is going to be, I know, because some people are like, I don't know if I want to talk about with a bunch of people. This is I should call this the small, intimate virtual summit. So it's not a summit of 1,000. This is going to be a very, very small group of us talking.
Yes.
So you're going to be
as soon, and I get that all the time, that people are so shy about wanting to ask that question. And please stop being shy, because as soon as someone actually speaks up and says, actually, I have trouble with that, there's like 8 to 10 to 100 other hands that go up, like, I'm having this same problem. So somebody has to speak up. Somebody has to be the one to be like, does anybody help us do this? And then you would be astounded as to how many people actually raise their hand.
Yes.
Every 2 out of 3 women have pelvic floor dysfunction. 2 or 3. Well, there's 2 of us right here. I'm just saying.
Yes.
And good pelvic PTs speak from experience. So
yes. Well, and no, this is why, at first when I envisioned putting this on, yes, I did think, oh, big. But, the numbers of people, this is going to be an intimate space. And I think that's going to be really beautiful, because it's going to allow us to have really rich discussion and really a really big opportunity to get your questions answered. And in addition to Dr. Brie speaking at the summit, I'll be kind of doing some interlude. There'll be, just playing some games, I'm doing some free giveaways. We have a very big retreat when I say big, meaning we're going out of the country. I host retreats in Mexico, a very special place in Mexico. I was just talking to my team who is in an area called Ahihik. That's where the retreat. And my retreats are about you discovering yourself, your mind, body, soul connection by retreating. And when we went to Costa Rica, it was a much more kind of spiritual. This one is a cultural immersion. So we're doing food, Mexican authentic food. We're doing wine tasting and tours. We're going on nature hikes. We're creating art. We're using, we're going to, I'm not going to give away, but you have a special art project that you'll be doing and doing these types of things. So we're going to talk more about that as well at the summit, just so that we talk about our stress and how that's impacting our bodies. What are these other things, that we can do to outside of our daily? What are some of those more pleasurable things that we can do to really take care of ourselves as well? So that'd be a part of the retreat too. So, of the summit as well. So go to onedaysummit.eventbrite.com so that you can grab your tickets. They're $50. We have 3 licensed, certified. We have 1 certified pleasure coach who's coming next Thursday, which, she's juicy. Y'all think, we got some real, yes.
Learn from her as well.
Yes. Tosh Patterson will be here next Thursday to talk, but Dr. Brie will be there and Dr. Donna G. And if you would like a discount, if you're like, I want to go, how can I get that discount? Then again, you just have to email info@findingyourvoiceafter40.com. And within 24 hours, you'll get an email back with a discount code and register. So it's happening on June 24th. So not this Saturday, but next Saturday. It's going to be intimate. We'll have Q&A so that you can ask your questions. And presentations and give more details than what we've kind of given tonight on what you can do to rectify these things and what all the different areas you really need to pay attention to. So I'm excited. So any last minute things that you want to say before we hop off with our live audience? And thanks for attending, guys.
I had a question about that retreat. Is the hike optional? Because
oh, yes, everything. So good question. Yes. So
I don't do bugs. So
no. So the hike. So yes, none of the things I do when I facilitate retreats, we're grown-ass women. We're grown women. And this retreat is for Black women over 35.
Yay.
So if you're over 35, it's a 5-day retreat. It's in February.
Wow.
Tell more details of all the things and what we're even going to share the daily itinerary so that you see. But know this, any retreat that Finding Your Voice, which is my company, puts on, we are grown women. You have your own room. You're not sharing your room with nobody. It's a 5-star resort with spa. You will have a spa treatment included in your stay. Your meals are taken care of. You are picked up from the moment your plane lands. You come to retreat. And this is a cultural immersion, so we will be doing some different cultural things, but it's really, at the end of the day, we do sister circles where we sit down, we reflect, we journal a bit, we do oracle cards, we meditate together, we share, we cry, we laugh. So yes, you don't have to, if you say that the hike is definitely optional for sure. Yoga is also available and that's optional as well. So.
Dr. Brown knows her limitations.
I know. And then, so if you come to the summit, you'll see all the visuals, you'll see the cost, you'll see the ways you can pay, all the stuff. So y'all need to come, sign up. So thank you so much. I know you have
me. I'm so excited to speak.
You've been such a blessing in my life. You know that. We've been working together since February. We just ended our formal treatment, but I'm still gonna bug her. And so definitely, if y'all live in Illinois, you absolutely need to come to this summit. So because Dr. Brie's down the street from you. So yes, even though, yes, the directory has all the other things. So.
Yes.
All right. Well, stay right there. I'm going to end the live, but you stay here for just a moment. And, we'll see you guys next week with our pleasure coach, talking about literal sexual pleasure as well as the simple pleasures, just ways what does that mean? And how can we look at that differently? And obviously she's really going to go in depth at the summit. So make sure you guys see us then. All right. See you guys later. Take care.